the kids at home, it wouldn't matter at all.
Right? She's a super mama. Hey guys, good morning. We are live on Facebook. I'm always excited. I say that like every time, it's my thing. Erin Torres is joining us this morning. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Just a reminder that we're now doing the calls on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30. I've already got our lineup for next week and it's super exciting. I'm just so lucky to have as many friends as I do. We're also going to be sending out the link, hopefully over the weekend, to the YouTube channel that has all of the previous calls so that you can go in and pick and choose and listen to stuff again. So I think that'll be really huge for you guys. So Erin, I'm going to let you take it away, 15, 20 minutes. Guys, if you have questions while Erin's talking, put them in the chat and I will, I'll answer them. I'll ask her while we go along. So Erin, take it away.
Awesome. So I know most of you, but if I don't know you, I'm Erin Torres. I'm the COO for Hergenrother Realty Group. We are an expansion team within KW. Right now we have 172 agents in 24 locations. This month we're on pace to close 200 deals. We've closed, I think, 155 so far. We're averaging about 10 a day. The reason I bring that up is because it's all about mindset right now. It's all about getting scrappy. That's the thing that we say to our agents every single day. You're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to work harder to keep deals together, which is something that we're going to chat about for a few minutes. How can we really bulletproof the deals that we have? Because if you lose one or two deals, or if they push, all of a sudden your profitability is out the door for the month. And that can mean a lot of implications, not only for your business, but if you start getting into that loss situation, you don't have that income coming in, it could mean a lot of changes for your organization. It could mean a lot of changes for you too. So how can we really ensure that our deals, our transactions, we're moving forward in a way that's as productive as possible? The second thing I want to be touching base on is now is the time to recruit. I know Brinley has talked about this a lot, but there are so many people, so many talented individuals out there who want to be working. So for really the first time that in all of our lives, there are, 20 million people who are unemployed. That's a massive talent pool. So if your organization isn't hiring right now, you should think about who should you be hiring? Who have you been putting off looking for, adding to your world? Who might you need to top grade? That's a conversation you have to have right now. I know Brinley has said in the past too, that if you're not stepping up right now, if you're not making a tangible impact in your business, your job is potentially at risk. So this is a time for all of us to work harder, to work smarter, to work more efficiently and more purposefully and more intentionally as well in just our everyday activities. So we'll chat a little bit more about recruitment because I truly do believe that recruitment is a system. Recruitment lies within all of us first and foremost. And for many years in my role within her group, I was doing marketing lead generation, and I've been in my role as COO now for about 2 years. I never thought I was a recruiter. I never thought that I could sell someone on our organization until I changed my mindset that it's not about selling. It's about being genuine. It's about being authentic. It's about serving people and showing how our organization, our value can really serve other people. And it took a while for me to get really crystal clear on that value proposition that's going to attract people into our organization and attract people into our world. But, now I have a lot of recruiting conversations. I probably talk to 10 to 15 different agents on a weekly basis for our teams. We're consistently looking at new expansion teams who I chat with. We're always looking at staff because, again, we never know where we're going to go. We're never going to know who we need, and we need to be consistently building that bench. So if you're not looking to say who's missing from our organization right now, that's something crucial that you really need to be talking about, whether with your rainmaker, whether amongst your own team, whatever that looks like. And the third thing I want to talk about a little bit is how you can really work on the business right now to move forward. So it's funny, I was talking to our controller yesterday, Becca Shanahan-Galagani, who most of you probably know and love. And we were saying that we think Adam had ESP in October of last year, because he came to me and Becca and he said, I want you all to cut $40,000 a month from our corporate budget. Now we run extremely lean and mean. We do not spend frivolously. We really need to make sure that all of our money has an impact, that we are getting a massive ROI on that spend. And Becca and I looked at each other and we said, man, this is not going to happen. But somehow we did it. We kept carving away. I know, Brinley, you've talked about this too. How can you find $300 here, $200 there, $15 from Netflix, whatever it might be? Those things add up. So we did that over and over again. We renegotiated deals. So when this all hit, I want to say in Vermont, in the Northeast, we started feeling a lot of the repercussions of coronavirus. I want to say, in early March. March 6th stands out to me. We were looking at our finances and saying, what can we pause? What can we do differently? How can we use what we have rather than always looking for that next golden object, that next shiny object that we think that we need to propel our business forward? So Becca and I looked at our budget and we said, man, Adam prepared us for this moment. We've cut everything that we needed to cut. We have such a solid foundation, and we truly only have the tools, the systems, the models, the leads in our life right now that we need. So at that time, I took it amongst myself to say, okay, how can we do more with what we have? And I think that's a question you all need to really be focused on right now. You all have tons of tools within yourself even. You can make a huge, huge impact on your business without a lot of those shiny objects. So what does that look like for your business? For us, it was getting really prescriptive on what our agents should be doing every day. Maybe it's having 20 conversations. Conversations are lasting a lot longer right now. I hear from a lot of our agents that they might be on the phone with a prospect for 30 minutes or an hour, whereas in the past, because we didn't have time, now we have time, which is the beauty of this all, those conversations might have gone from 10 minutes to an hour. So we need to be prepared for that. So we got very prescriptive to say, okay, agents, we're going to hold you highly accountable to contacting every lead in your database over this period of time, for setting up listing alerts, for going through and actually having conversations about, hey, we haven't had time in the future to discuss what's on your must have list for your home. Let's do that now. So taking a lot of those actions to just get ahead. On the back end, we got very prescriptive as well. How can we button up our brevity checklists? How can we take a strategic look? Because here's the thing, on the other side of this, we're not going to have any time. We're not going to have time because we're going to be running full force ahead. It's going to be like a floodgate is opening, and we're going to be, suddenly carrying probably 60 pendings per team because a lot of that business has pushed towards the future. So what can we do right now to get ahead? Things are a little bit slower. We have a little bit more time. I think all of us probably are working more than we ever have because we can't, go out and do things with friends. So how do you make the most of the time that you have? Really consider that for yourself. So we charged our admins, our operations coordinators across the country, really with figuring out what are those projects that we can plan for the whole year. What kind of community engagement events do we want to do every single month, from food drives to toy drives to backpack drives, whatever that might be. Let's outline them. Let's do all of the marketing for them right now. What kind of cleanup to our database can we do? That's going to be crucial too, because down the road, you're not going to have that time to spend tagging your database, really thinking about who do you know in your SOI who's not actually in your database, getting really strategic with that as well. So we've been focusing on a lot of cleanup, but also what can we do for the rest of the year that's going to get us ahead in a way that we're not going to have to think about it. So I would ask all of you, what's on your plate that you've been procrastinating on that you can do right now or get off your plate for the rest of the year today? Because a lot of our jobs are going to change to be focused, I think, more on holding together transactions. It's going to take more energy and more work to ensure that they are bulletproof and that they are moving forward. It's going to take us being more creative when we talk to lenders and title and checking in with co-brokes to ensure that, hey, we're going to get this to the closing table. I actually just got a stat from Becca this morning that said that our fallout rate has actually improved by 25% year over year. And that's something that we really focused on because when you look at profitability, if you have a fallout rate of 10 to 15%, that's a lot of money. So how can all of you really focus on bulletproofing your deals, holding your deals together in a way that's going to allow your business to have more profitability at the end of the year? I would also look really strategically at your budgets. What don't you need? You can do a lot without a lot. That's something that we've learned over the years. We can keep looking for new tools and different things and new lead sources. We have enough leads. We just aren't disciplined enough to actually pick up the phone and have more conversations. So for us, it's really been about going back to basics. How can we actually encourage people and hold people more accountable to having more real conversations? It's pretty easy right now to call someone and say, how, has your life been impacted? Do you want to hear more about the real estate market and what we think is going to happen? Those conversations are so easy to have, and people have time to have them. So if you're not holding your agents accountable, one of the things I hear from a lot of my coaching clients and just a lot of our agents across the board is they're kind of viewing this as a vacation in a lot of ways. They have the mindset to say, well, real estate's not selling. real estate selling. If you look back at, 2008, the same amount of deals sold as the years following it. It was just a smaller number of agents who are selling those deals and closing those deals. So I think it's really important to ensure that, we're still moving forward and we're saying, yes, real estate is selling. We've been doing a lot of data updates too, to say every single day in the past 24 hours, how many homes have come on the market, how many have sold, how many have, gone pending or under contract. Showcase that data and tell that story as well. So by working on the business, you can get so many of your systems and tools and things that you've been putting off done. I know for us, it's been a big transition from Dotloop to DocuSign. So our team right now is working on all of the templates that we need to do for each of our locations. It's working in the database. It's getting ahead on social media. What kind of graphics can you create now for the holidays for the rest of the year? That's what we did, so that now I don't have to think about them for the rest of the year. So when you're working on the business, I think it's also important to think about recruiting as a system. So I'm going to go backwards now. So one of the biggest things, again, I hear is, I'm not a recruiter. I can't have that conversation. Here's how you can contribute to recruiting to your business. You are the person who can get data together, who can create a database of all of the agents in your location. So for us, that might look like, okay, I get a broker's metrics list. I tag them by their production level. I'm talking about agents for the moment, because I think a lot of us who have teams, we can always use more talented agents in our world. So now I have a list of all of these agents to contact. I want to scrub them against the do not call list to make sure that I'm not texting or calling somebody who's on that list. Trust me, you don't want to do that. We've gotten, a number of potential issues from that in the past. So take that step, make sure that you're doing it, and then load it into some kind of database. We actually put all of our recruits into Boomtown, and we have just a separate section for them. We make sure that they're tagged, and then you have to develop the content that you're going to send to them. So what are your texts? What are your emails? What are your drip campaigns? This is going to look a lot like the systems that you set up for lead generation and marketing within your team. It's the same thing. It's all about follow-up. It's all about rapport building. It's all about having that cadence and that system to follow. So once you have your data, you have your database, you have it tagged, you also know who you want to be attracting into your world. I would do a missing persons report to say, who's been most successful on our team? Who, can I help serve the best? Who can come in as a $3 million producer and in 2 years be a $10 million producer in our world, because they value leverage, they value accountability. They're going to do what we tell them to do. That's who you want in your missing persons report. Once you have that, you want to go over into the marketing collateral that you want to be sending to your recruits. So how do you tell your story? How do you showcase using data, your agent's growth stories, your team growth stories? For us, one thing that we like to talk about is we have a 95% retention rate. It hasn't always been that. For many years, it was a revolving door where we were bringing in as many agents as we were, shuffling out the door. So now that we can say, hey, we failed forward, and we now always want to make it a win-win. We take recruiting extremely seriously. That's a data point that you can utilize. Also, if you have a data point to say, hey, we had an agent come in from Sotheby's who did 10 units a year. Her first year in our organization, she did 65. That's another one of those stories to showcase that, again, you're showing rather than telling, and you're sending those, marketing collateral pieces to agents who are in your pipeline, potentially those recruits. You can post on social media. There's so many different uses for them. I would also ensure that you're setting up follow-up cadences to say, okay, I talked to this agent. They seem relatively interested. What's my next step? Once I do that step, what's next? For us, it might look like we have a conversation. I say, hey, I'm going to follow up with some collateral. I send them that collateral. A week later, I call them and say, hey, have you been able to revisit that collateral? Do you have any questions? Do you have any thoughts? Is there anything I can help you with today? How can I serve you? That's really great right now, because a lot of agents are really stifled. They don't know what action to take next. So if we can provide them with that guidance, share your resources widely. That's one of the things that I always hear from, especially people outside of KW, is, man, you'll just share anything. Of course we will, because we're all going to do different things with it. Why not share it? Somebody's not going to duplicate it. And if they do, who cares? There's enough to go around for all of us. So get your marketing collateral in place, develop those cadences. Again, so for us, it might be I send a marketing collateral piece, I follow up, then I invite them to a boot camp, a training, a webinar that someone on our team is doing. We have power-ups every morning that we'll invite them to. Our team members invite them to different huddles. Again, it's a system. It's a follow-up cadence that you can put together and you can own. So one of the things I often hear from people is just saying, I don't know how to get started in recruitment. It starts with all of us, truthfully, because otherwise it's not a system. We're just making ad hoc calls to whomever. We don't know who we're following up with. We don't know when we're following up with them. So that's really crucial. And quickly taking another step back. So bulletproofing your deals. Right now, you need to over communicate. You need to over communicate with your agents. You need to over communicate with different team members. You need to over communicate with co-brokers, with title, with lenders, attorneys. You need to touch base with people every single day because things can change rapidly. I heard from one of our team members that the buyer was supposed to close in 2 days and they just got laid off. Well, that really changes their life in a big way. We can't necessarily control that, but we can control a lot of things to make sure that if we're putting new deals under contract, they're solid. I know also I was talking to a lender yesterday who said, one of the clients who you're working with no longer qualifies because of her credit score. Well, how do I then get creative and potentially send her to a different lender? You need to be having those proactive conversations and thinking strategically in your head about how you can save these deals. Because again, 1 or 2 deals can mean profit, or it can mean a massive loss that you're now going to be digging out from for many, many years. I'm going to pause. Thoughts, questions? I know I just spewed a lot at you really quickly. That's typically my style, but.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Come on, guys.
Erin, you haven't touched on it yet today, but I was just on your webinar yesterday or Tuesday about recruiting.
Yep.
And it's still sticking in my head what you said about, especially because recruiting should take a while. It shouldn't be something where you find someone and hire them in a week.
Yes.
And we tend to lose people. But you said the other day that as long as your value proposition is high enough and valuable enough, that talent will outlast the courtship, or however you phrase that. And that was just really big for me, that the people who don't stick around through that process, and especially right now, because you said people are like, oh, I can't hire right now. But you start right now, and talent's going to stick out through it. And that's just still sticking in my mind, and you hadn't touched on it yet. So
yeah,
I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
No, I love that. And that's really key for, getting into relationships with staff or new team members. Because here's the thing, you can put job descriptions out there for a social media marketer, for, a lead generation coordinator. You don't have to hire for them right now. And that's the biggest thing. Build your bench. Tell them that, hey, we might not be hiring right now, but we never know who we're going to find until we start having those conversations. And on that webinar I did the other day, I talked about my courtship with Adam was probably 4 months because he didn't want to pay me, well, initially what I was making. And we're going back and forth and back and forth. And, I consistently kept coming back and wanting to show my value. I was, reading all of his blogs. I was paying attention to things. That's what we want to see. That's the biggest driver for us. We always say that culture is first and foremost, but when someone's listening to Adam's podcast, when they're reading his blog, when they've read The Founder and the Force Multiplier, when they're consistently engaging with us on social media, that's a hint that someone is talent because they're following us, and that we're also engaging them in a way where, again, they're not going to suddenly disappear. Maybe they'll find another job, great. But if they want to be part of your world through that attraction and through the content and the value that you're putting out, they're probably going to hang on for longer than you might think. That, Megan.
Awesome. I do love what you just said about, I think there is a limiting belief, and I also think people sometimes, I don't want to say feel bad, but feel bad, right, for taking someone through the process and not immediately hiring them. And that's not the purpose that Gary teaches us about building a bench, right? Building a bench is so that when you need to top grade, hire more, whatever it is, you've got people to pull that you've been in conversation with. Megan just came on as our director of training, and we've been in conversation with her for probably 6 months to a year. She's been following us and seeing what we've been doing. And so I think there's a lot to be said for that. I also liked the question that came to my mind, just like a probing question, was when you're looking at your finances, and we all have them, what are those items that you get to when you're going through your budget and you go, I know I really shouldn't have that, but I don't want to let that go. Like, what am I holding on to? And then really digging deep and asking yourself, why? Why am I holding on to it? Is it filling a void that I need? Is it a comfort thing? Because it might be unhealthy, right? And this is a great time to get healthy. And then I loved the idea of getting stuff done. Like the holiday thing was like getting your social media posts and emails and drips done for like the fall and the winter. That was like mind blowing. Erin. That was just like,
it's a basic thing, but so I still do a lot of our marketing content development, and I have to be hyper focused on time blocking for that because I'm skewed all over the place and I do not do well when I have a dilution of focus. So
yeah.
literally I've been carving out time to be like, all right, I have 2 hours here. I'm going to bust out our SOI newsletters for the next 3 months and the next 6 months. I can do all of that now. And sure, I might need to tweak a little bit because I don't necessarily know how the world is going to look in 6 or 9 months, but I can do the bulk of that right now. I know that we're always going to have holiday graphics, right? Get them done now so you don't have to think about them. That's the biggest thing for me. What do I not have to think about again this year that I can achieve right now?
All right, what other questions for Erin? Brilliant brain here.
I have a question.
Amanda.
Hey, good morning. So I'm just curious, and it may apply in smaller organizations or sub-organizations within your larger umbrella, but what roles have adjusted or shifted in the sense of maybe no one likes to say, well, that's not my job, but let's just say this person over here is doing one role, but during this time, maybe due to shrinking staff or trying to cut expenses or sort of stretching, everybody's tasks, what have you seen shifted right now? Like somebody wasn't really responsible for doing, but you had to go to them and say, look, we really need you to step up and work on this right now during this time.
Yeah, so we are very blessed that our people know that we're all a team. We're all going to contribute where we're needed, and we do a lot of cross training. So when we do leave, for some of our teams, we have maybe 2 or 3 admins. Those are our larger teams that are doing, 300 units a year. And we necessarily wouldn't need all of them right now. So, and we've actually only furloughed 2 part-time people out of all of our organization. We have 37 employees. So we're doing pretty well. But to answer your question, we all have the mindset of ownership over this team and this company. So if we need to step in and learn something new, that's our growth, that's our opportunity. If anybody on any of our teams ever said that's not my job, they're not a fit for our organization. They might ask, I need some help doing this, and sure, we'll train you all day long. We also have a really big repository of training videos where if we say to someone, go learn how to do this in Boomtown or go learn how to do this in Command, they can just go watch a video and follow along. So for us, our jobs are very diversified right now anyway, because we know that things might change. We know that we need to be very lean and mean with our staffing. So we all try as much as possible to have that massive ability to jump in where needed. I would say if people are uncomfortable with it, I would get to the root of why are you uncomfortable jumping in here? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of not knowing how to do it? What is that is the reason why somebody doesn't want to take something new on? And really jump in. Again, maybe it's time. And I think also you can look and say, okay, well, what are you doing right now that doesn't matter? For some of our people who have kids at home right now and are working different hours, we're saying it's all about prioritization. There are some things that you don't need to do right now. Put those aside, table them. That's fine. Do what's most important today, and it's going to really allow you to elevate your business going forward. Not everything is a priority. Not everything is an emergency. And you really need to get clear on what can wait, I think, as well. You're welcome.
I have a question, Erin.
Yes.
What kind of tips or tricks do you have for recruiting people who aren't yet in real estate?
So I love that question. One of my favorite things is thinking about who in your life have you met, maybe a bartender, maybe a barista, who has that outgoing personality who you think would be great in real estate. So in our organization, we actually don't bring on new agents for the most part anymore. If we did, though, we would be looking for people who have a massive sphere, have a massive network, who are proven in some kind of industry. It might be beneficial to be sales. But so we just actually, we broke our own rule. We brought on a producer for our San Antonio team. She owns an advertising agency with her husband. She has a massive sphere. Her 2 boys just left for college. So, she has the time. We get extremely clear with people on though that this is a business. This is a time commitment. You need to keep moving forward. But I would look at who do you know? Even on social media, there are a lot of people, if you put a post out there and said, who's been interested in real estate? You have time right now. You can get licensed pretty much this week if your state is allowing you to still take tests. Do the online course. Let's keep moving forward and get you licensed. We'll train you or we'll onboard you. That was a great time for onboarding. We're actually trying to do that with a lot of our teams in cohorts. So they have other, team members who are with them going through the same trainings, the same processes, and the same learnings. But I would look really closely at who you know in your sphere first and foremost.
Awesome.
We do post on Indeed looking for agents, and it's not the same caliber of people. As you know, one of our top producers, he actually just posted yesterday, he's been in real estate now 7 years. He was a bartender. I really like looking at hospitality, even if it's hotel workers. And a lot of those people are not working right now because they're customer service oriented. They have that servant leader heart. And that's the biggest thing. We can teach you all the skills. We can handle paperwork for you. I want you to be able to have a conversation. I want you to really be able to, or come from a place of wanting to help people at your core. And the biggest thing is not being afraid to have conversations. And a lot of people who work in hospitality, who work in restaurants, who are in front of people day in and day out, they don't have that fear. So they'll go and pick up the phone. One thing with new agents that we do is we have them do 1,000 dials their first week. And that really helps them overcome, just getting on the phone, having conversations, being rejected. That's the biggest thing too. Does that help at all?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. What else do you have for me?
I love that. Oh, go ahead. Go, Chastity.
Hey, y'all from El Paso. I'm getting my walk-in while I talk to y'all.
I love that.
You said something earlier. I don't even remember the word, but I wanted to know more about it. It was a C word when you were talking about recruiting agents, and you did something with them. It started with a C.
Cadences, yeah. So I call them cadences. They could be workflows. They could be, kind of drips. It could be a checklist even. It's the same thing. I call them cadences because they have to be kind of strategic in what their rollout looks like and the timing between them all. But essentially, it's just the steps that you have in your recruiting process. It could even be like a flow chart to say, okay, we touch an agent. Are they potentially interested in a team? They go here. Or they say, hey, not now, I want to try to do this on my own. They go to this, next step. But essentially, it's your checklist of steps and touch points along the way that's going to allow you to have meaningful conversations and also just keep track of them. Because just like any lead, if we're not actually following up on a regular basis and following up with, touch points of value, then that person's going to get lost in the shuffle, and we're not going to have the same results as if we do follow it as a system and as a different, cadence for your follow-up.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I did. And one last question.
Of course.
You said you put them in Boomtown.
Yep.
When you put somebody in Boomtown, don't they have to accept your invite to see the drips, or is there a way around that?
No, for the drips, they'll just get it to their email. They don't have to accept an invite. We don't actually send any of the recruits in our platform an invite. It's just truly for bulk texting and bulk emailing.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah. What else? We got a couple more minutes.
Love this. I love what you said about hospitality, and you guys hear me preach this. They also are used to flexible income, right? They're used to waiting on their income because they work low base plus tips. So that's another big plus, is that they are hungry because they know what it's like to chase their pay. So I think that's huge, huge.
And a lot of them are unemployed right now. And I know a lot of them are looking for opportunities. And a lot of them have probably thought of real estate. I hear that very, very often.
And they can go back to their jobs if in the beginning, if they need to work extra hours while they get ramped up in real estate and make the pay that they need. I mean, it's not preferred yet. I mean, what's normal anymore, right? Normal is a setting on a washing machine. Like,
yep.
It is what it is right now.
Yeah. So I got a question. What do you do the first couple of weeks for a new recruit? So we have a really thorough onboarding plan. We actually house it in Brevity, which is our checklist. The biggest thing is getting them into our systems. We set up their email address. We ensure that they have access to all of our different tools, and we largely have them start dialing. So if they have access to a Mojo dialer on our team, they start calling those 1,000 people. That's first and foremost. And then it's a lot of trainings. So we have them come to all of our daily morning power-ups. We do a systems training every Wednesday and more of a real estate content-based training every Thursday. We have them attend those. We also have a boot camp for our agents across the board. Even our CEOs go to it. We'll encourage them to attend that. And then we have an intranet where we store a ton of different materials. So collateral, presentations, training videos, essentially anything any agent might need in our world. We have them dive into that intranet and watch as many videos as humanly possible. It's really overwhelming for a lot of people. We tell them that up front to say, you're going to be bombarded with new content. You're going to be bombarded with resources, but this is your opportunity to get immersed in our culture, immersed in our training, and really, bolster your productivity. We've had agents, one I'm thinking of in particular on our Atlanta team, she did 4 transactions last year and she came into our world, and in her first month, she put 4 under. Because of the training and because of the tools and because of all the resources that she suddenly didn't even have to think about because they were already there for her. So the biggest thing is really just taking action, I think, in that first week, getting trained, because every team is going to have different systems and tools and models, and then making sure that they have enough information to keep carrying them forward and keep their productivity moving forward into the future. So do you use Boomtown for CRM only or both CRM and paid click? So we do ads through Boomtown. They're actually our number 2 lead source across all of our teams. Sphere is number 1. But yeah, we're a big fan of Boomtown and their leads that come in.
Awesome. Guys, Erin, tell them how to get a hold of you. Tell them about some of the programs you're doing. You guys can get more of this. Erin does a lot of training. So tell them where they can find you and what you're doing.
I'll post my email in the chat. Feel free to always be in touch with me. I'm always happy to have a call, have an email conversation, whenever you need. Erin@hergroup.com. I am a coach and trainer through Adam Hergenrother training. So I do one-on-one coaching. I also do a lot of free webinars. I do some paid, like $19 webinars. One of my favorites is how to do Instagram lead generation. I am an agent. I don't do a ton of deals. I do probably 10 a year, and they all come from Instagram. So I do, trainings like that are more targeted, but a lot of free webinars I'm consistently doing as well. Adam Hergenrother Training also has a YouTube channel where you can find all of our free trainings too. So that's a massive resource for you all. But again, email me anytime. People are always so afraid to just ask the question. I'm always going to respond. I don't think, I've ever missed an email from somebody who's had a question or has wanted more information. So definitely save that and be in touch. I'll give you my cell phone too if you ever want to chat.
Awesome.
There you go. Awesome. Thanks so much for stopping on, everyone.
Yeah. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much, Erin. I mean, this was like, woo! You're awesome. I love you. Have an awesome week, guys. Next week, we have Lance Loken on Monday. Super stoked about that. And we've got some other people, some awesome people coming up. If you have anybody that you want to hear, private message me, text me, 727-512-9098. Erin, what's your email again?
Erin@hergroup.com.
Erin@herg, H-E-R-G group.com. All right, guys, have an awesome weekend. Rest, take some time for yourself, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye.
Bye.